Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome back to the third take. I'm your host, John Chapman III, and here with me again is Miss Tkiia.
Yeah, you get me again. Back to back to back.
To back. So the title of this episode, as you guys all know, is Healing While Being in Love. It's kind of going to be a little different this episode. It's going to be basically dominated by Takaya. She's going to share her story through her relationship because I believe her story is actually very impactful and would be very useful for women, especially women who are in military relationships. To give them some type of insight of if they're like going through like a tough time. So you will be hearing a little less of me this episode. So boo hoo. Uh, but no, in all seriousness, today will be kind of dominated by Takai because her story is very impactful and very inspiring that I believe. So I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you guys are having a great Friday. I don't have any housekeeping announcements as of late. Um, yeah, I
No,
don't think we have
I'm trying to
anything.
think.
We don't have anything.
It's like we didn't do anything crazy
No, you,
last weekend to like
right,
talk about.
right. No, we didn't do anything like super crazy. I mean, oh well, I can say like a little goal set of mine. That I'm by, uh, on actually by today I'll actually be working like talking to patients for the first time, and I'll be actually doing like screening assessments. So wish me luck, and I'll tell you guys all about it next week. Can't tell you guys too much because it's got, confidential.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a kind of a big step for me. I'm very excited. Everybody has told me to not be super excited because they're like, you're talking to patients. But
It's what you want to
this is
do,
something that
so
I want to do. So this is very exciting for me. So a little big whoop whoop for me. But anyways, like I said, today's episode is called Healing in Love While Being in Love. Um, I really hope that this episode is for people who are struggling in terms of healing in their relationship or just healing in general. So my first question to you, Takai, is like, what brought us here to this episode, and why do you think talking about healing while being in love is super a needed topic?
for me, because I'm still healing parts of myself that I didn't even know was hurting until I got into a healthy relationship. I didn't realize how much I had to actually adjust. Because I previously was like shrinking myself, over functioning to try to overcompensate, um, and ignored my own needs until I finally experienced the emotional safety that you kind of give me now. Before we really dive into it, I do want to acknowledge something real. I don't want my story to be taken like, okay, I'm just being messy. I'm just trying to bash him or anything like that. Um, I really want my experience to be something that women, particularly those who are in military relationships, um, can actually understand and like relate to. Um, so, for starters, my last relationship lasted for almost a decade. Um, and I'm here to speak for women who are silently suffering the way that I was. I stayed in situations that broke me little by little, and mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I lost myself trying to hold someone together who didn't know how to really even hold himself. Um, a lot of women, especially in military relationships, feel like they have to accept disrespect because they're not the wife. Um, or because they're far from home, or because leaving means starting completely over with nothing. Um, but for me, and I feel like just in general, walking away wasn't a weakness. It was just a moment of reclaiming who I always knew that I was.
Hmm.
And I learned that I wasn't asking too much. I was just asking the wrong person. Um, Now I'm in a relationship where I feel love. and it's peaceful, it's not painful, where healing is something that we do together, not alone. We're able to talk freely about everything and kind of process and work through our emotions. And the growth is mutual, it's not just one sided. So I really want those who are listening, um, if you ever feel unseen, unheard, or unappreciated, I really do hope that my story helps you realize that there is life after letting go and real love does exist. Healing is possible, and you deserve to be loved and to feel safe in that love. So, with that, to answer your question, this topic means a lot to me because I'm still healing parts of me that I didn't know it was still hurting. So, what about you? What do you feel like?
I feel like number one, thank you so much for sharing. Like you haven't even started yet. And but like I said, y'all, this is a very important story. And like I said, when she proposed this topic to me, I was like, oh, let's do it. I was like, we can definitely do it. I was like, but you're gonna be the one to carry.
Yeah, I gotta carry this one.
But for me, because I wasn't in a for like the per se military relationship, but I was in a very straining at times relationship
Hmm.
because we were both college students. And like I said, again, like I said in my mental health journey, this is not to like bash anybody or bash my ex, but it's just at times I have to acknowledge of what we
Right.
were going through, and like you have to acknowledge the good and the bad,
Hmm.
and that's what some people have a issue with. But anyways, my relationship, when it was bad, it was like very bad. So and part of that, I will admit, was on me, but majority of it was kind of just the relationship's existence in general.
Hmm.
And I think there are a lot of there are some wounds that I do have that I'm currently working on, and like I have been working on, even like while still being in a relationship with
Hmm.
her. But like for me, this episode is about like basically us telling our journey and hoping that somebody out there who's going through something similar, or if they're going through the same thing, has like um that extra what do you call that? It's like a basically dang, I'm drawing a blank. They have like that reassurance
Right.
that what they're going through isn't just like
Like
them
it's
being
not just
crazy.
them. They're
Right.
not crazy.
Right. It's not just
Right.
them being like, am I just the only one that's going through it? Like, granted, like everybody's situation is different,
Hmm.
but you can still try to find little bits and pieces to relate to. So I hope that somebody who's going through something similar or have gone through something similar takes this episode um and really relate to it.
Hmm.
So that's basically how that's basically why I wanted to also talk about this as well, so I could share a little bit of mine. But like I said, this is all on Takaya. So
Okay.
all right. So in terms of I do have to ask you one other question. What do you think people mainly misunderstand when it comes to about couples that are healing together?
So my first immediate thought, especially for not that, oh my God, it just made me think about it. We're not a new couple anymore. Um, Literally in like a week, it'll be almost half a year.
Yep.
That's insane. Anyway, um, particularly when you get in one relationship after ending one, a lot of people will think that, okay, they're just a rebound.
Hmm.
Um, It's like, oh, they're not really in it, they're not really serious. They're just, looking for a companion to try to like cover up their feelings and like what they're going through. Um, so I feel like that in itself is a big misunderstanding. Like you can still heal from your past and your past traumas and the things that you experienced in your past relationship while genuinely pursuing something new with someone else. Um, you just have to do that with somebody who is emotionally intelligent enough to understand what you have been through, willing to like accept that and be able to actually help that person kind of navigate it and go through it.
Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree because like a lot of people would think like especially like being fresh out of a relationship,
Mhm.
everybody's looking at your next one. They're like, okay, you everybody kind of puts like a timetable on
Mhm.
like how long it should take for you to get into a relationship. While sometimes yes, time is very useful and very helpful, but not everybody's wired like that. And
Right.
everybody's wired like a clock in
Mhm.
terms of being like, okay, well I gotta wait a year till I can actually date again. Because then that's
Mhm.
just like, why are you blocking your own happiness? And
Right.
if you're feeling like I could get into it, but like you said, have enough emotional intelligence to be able to take that and be able to be vulnerable in that type of
Mhm.
situation, that you can actually heal while being in a relationship, and you can also as long as you keep yourself not codependent on that other person,
Right.
and you heal individually as well, I think your relationship can work. And I think that's how kind of ours work.
Mhm.
Ours work basically, like literally when like we were first talking, like you just flat out told me everything that you've been through, and that we're gonna get into today. And you
Mhm.
basically told me everything that you've went through, and I just like was like, wow. It was just like I was throwing back because number one, I ain't never heard that's types of this some type of stuff you hear on like Jerry Springer or like a
Not
testimony.
Jerry
This
Springer.
is like a testimony for real. But it's like for me it was just like, man, like it made me it made it like clicked something in me to be like, I'm gonna give this woman the best relationship that she can get. And it's not even just because of what you've been through, but it's just
Mhm.
that's just my nature of whenever I'm in a relationship. But it was like for you specifically, I was like, she don't know. I was like, she does not know like what I'm going to actually do for her, because it's just like I was literally in a similar situation when I told you my
Mhm.
experience. I was in a situation where it wasn't as in depth as yours, but I was still feeling the same emotions that you were feeling
Right.
while in my relationship. So I believe like us coming together was like God putting us together to be like, y'all both, I know y'all both were in some bad stuff. Now it's time for y'all to actually have, your cake and eat it too.
Right.
But and I think that's another misconception that people believe, that like once you get into these new relationships, like after like a very traumatic one, it's like, okay, now that person needs to save you, or you need to save that person. And I don't
Mhm.
believe it should be viewed that type of way of being like, okay, well, like if like in like just to say like if I heard your story and I was just like, okay, so I just got to
I
be
gotta be Superman.
I gotta be Superman and swoop in and save her. But I
Mhm.
mean, granted, that's my mentality, period, towards anything. But like towards you, I'm like, I'm not gonna put that burden or put that on me to be like, okay, I gotta swoop in and be Prince Charming and be perfect because I'm
No,
number one.
you're
That's putting expectations
on
on
you.
me,
Yeah.
and I can't, and I know I can't live up to perfection. I can
Mhm.
just be the best person that I can be, and that's
Right.
what I still strive to be. And I feel like that's what people in general in relationships should strive to be. It's just the best partner that they can be. So I definitely agree with that. Um, so when it comes to actually getting into a relationship, there's a lot of patterns that you can bring into it. What pattern did you see yourself bringing once we came together?
I would say it would have to be feeling like I had to earn love. In my past relationship, I was body shamed constantly. I was told I was overweight. I told I'd never be marriage material unless I lost the weight. Even to a point where I was called a dependopotamus. For those who don't know what that is a military's insult to overweight spouses. Um, and I wasn't even a spouse, but
Right.
I was still
You were considered a spouse
a
because it was just like,
right, because we had been together
right,
so long. Um, I was considered a spouse, but that's neither here nor there.
right,
Um, but throughout that time, I ultimately ended up losing about 70 pounds. And instead of the support, he started comparing me to other women, particularly women of another race. He told me that he was just going through a phase and he was just preferring them at this time, but due to past trauma and the fact that he had actually cheated on me with a woman of another race for several years, it just made me feel like no version of me would ever be enough. Um, Another huge issue, I would say, um, is learning how to navigate um, a different type of communication style. Because with him, whenever we argued or disagreed, the way that he talked to me, his tone, his dialect, his demeanor, it was all the same that you would see like actual military people have.
Mhm.
It's very sharp, very cold, authoritative, and dismissive. Um, it always felt like he was trying to talk down to me and lecture me, and not really communicating with me. I was constantly belittled. He never really validated my feelings, and it was always defensive. Um, he was always kind of negating anything that I brought to his attention. And according to him, he never really did anything wrong. Um, because to him, he asked me to do one thing, and that was to lose the weight. And even when I finally did lose the weight, um, and was essentially a wife to him without the title, cooking, cleaning, supporting, holding our lives together, especially while he was deployed, I still wasn't enough. Um, to a point where I even asked him when I did actually end the relationship before leaving North Carolina. I asked him like straight up, like, what more could I have done? Like, is there anything more that I could have done differently? And he said there was really nothing more. Like I done everything.
Mhm.
So, that moment in itself, it was devastating, but it was also freeing to a certain extent because at that point I had done everything possible, and for once actually got the actual validation that me feeling like I had done everything and him finally confirming, like, yes, you've done everything.
Mhm.
And it just wasn't enough. So that was the only validation that he gave me, was that to him,
Mhm.
I wasn't enough. Um, so it was like a double edged sword. Um, but it showed me that no matter the sacrifice, no amount of sacrifice would have made me enough for someone who wasn't capable of seeing my worth.
Mm.
So what about you? No, that was a lot.
Nah, I mean, like I've said, you've told me this tenfold, like, and like it's still like low
Like,
key,
when you hear it
like
again,
blasts me away. It's just like, how could that like be in somebody's head? But you've got guys and you got people that are just like
I
that.
feel like because of him being in the military, the culture that they have around them
Hmm.
is you have to look a certain way. Like, you have to meet this criteria. You
Right,
have to meet this number on the chart to be considered to
right,
even enlist in
right,
certain branches. So, not to, and I still do it to this day. It's something that I'm still working on. It's like I continue to even make excuses for
hmm,
him and his behavior and the way that he thinks and the way that he operates. But at the end of the day, we're all human.
right,
We all know right from wrong. We're all, whether they themselves has experienced um something traumatic or something similar, like, everybody has an ounce of like humanity and empathy.
they have free
And
will.
right, they have free will, and you are just choosing not to.
Right,
Um in addition to the fact that I think even moreover is like later down the line, I found out that me actually losing the weight wasn't because I wasn't putting in the work. Like, it wasn't that I wasn't eating right. It wasn't that I wasn't going to the gym. I have an actual like diagnosis and like hormonal imbalance that
mm,
made me not incapable of losing weight, but it definitely made it harder for me to lose weight. And once he went on deployment and actually had that time and space to do nothing but focus on myself and my health, and I actually had blood work done, that's when I found this out. So just imagine me being like, I've done all of this, I went through all of this, come to find out that even what I was doing wasn't enough, and it was something internally that was holding me back from
right,
being enough. And the fact that he put it in my head that I'm not marrying you because you're overweight. And it's just like me being overweight at this point, at that point, finding out about all of that,
right.
it wasn't even my fault. So to me, putting two and two together, that was me not being a wife is something that's out of my control now.
Right. And you were basically going through like almost like a nature versus nurture type of thing, right?
Right.
It was just like your nurture part was like him literally like verbally telling you like, oh, what you're doing is like, why is it not enough? Why is it not working? Why is it like this? Why is it like that?
And it's
But
like I'm
then once you
trying.
actually you see the nature part of your biological, you're like, oh, this is why. So this is why. So it's like you have to kind of you have to take that into consideration. But it was like he didn't have he didn't have the empathy, he didn't have enough empathy to actually take that into consideration to be like, well, she actually has something that's wrong with her, maybe I shouldn't be, as hard to her. But like you said, with
Mhm.
him being in a stressful environment where you have to be a certain way, you have to be this type of way, it kind of it opens that door for
Mhm.
him to be that way. um
But again, I feel like it's also a choice because
right,
I told him what was wrong with
right,
me, and he said, "Don't use that as an excuse. Don't
right,
use it as a crutch." And it's just like I'm not.
exactly,
This is what is wrong with me. I can go to the gym morning and night. I can eat nothing but meat,
right.
like,
And you would still
and
see
I would
no.
still have this imbalance if I
Right.
don't actually start regimening it.
Exactly. And like the fact that he didn't acknowledge that that's what's actually going on with you, that shows character on his end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That really shows character. um Stuff like that can really bring in a lot of patterns, and I'm sure it did, in terms of like you were trying to be a people pleaser, but
Mhm.
and mainly just trying to be a him pleaser. But it was like the more you
Mhm.
try to do it, it was just like the more daunting it was on you, and it was just like you were constantly moving from foxhole to foxhole because
Yeah.
you were
It was
just
like I was
like.
chasing a finish line that was constantly moving.
Right, that was that it exactly. That's the best analogy you can put towards it. um and stuff like that it really can bring trauma into a relationship in it, because it's just like when it's like almost like an immovable object meeting an irresistible force. So it's like you're the irresistible force that's like trying to be like, I'm really trying, but it's like I can't because of this, and he's just that immovable object. It's just like, no, it's like, no, it's no, there's something more you can do. There's always something more you can do.
Mhm.
And that right there was what made y'all's relationship like toxic and very demanding of him to actually do that. Um, I would probably say, um, yeah, it's just that's just a crazy thing. That's just a crazy. Um, Number one, it's already a stressful lifestyle, and especially for you, you're on the tail end of it. You're always having to worry about, well, is he going to come home? Is he going to be, is he going to survive? Is
Mhm.
something always something, especially when it comes to the military, anything can happen.
Right.
And so it's just like you have that stress, and it's like that's an added on stress to you of being like, I have to worry about, is he coming home? I got to worry about, is he going to be deployed somewhere
Mhm.
horrible? And you have to like basically move with him whenever he gets deployed somewhere.
Right, and then again, while you bring that up, I need to also make attention to the fact that me and him were not married. So if something were to happen to him, I am just a
Girlfriend.
girlfriend.
Right.
Like if everything went to, I think his next living relative. So even having conversations about that, it was always attached to the fact that I was not worthy to be his wife. Therefore, I wasn't worthy of having that safeguarded protection of if something were to happen to him.
Right. You would be basically left
I
in the
would be
gutter.
left with absolutely nothing. And it's not like I was trying to pray for
No,
something
damn,
like to
so.
happen to him. Like
But like you
why
have
would
to
I
always
do
keep
that?
that in
But it's
mind.
just like I had to constantly keep that in mind. So I literally had to have some sort of like backup plan to like protect myself because at this point when we were stationed in New Orleans, but at this point I'm in North Carolina. I'm across the country. That's not a hop, skip, and a jump
No.
for anybody remotely close to me to be able to come and like support me or help me and like get me back up on my feet. The only person that was there was my best friend, and to this day I don't want to get emotional every time I talk about her and like the actual role that Ren Tuna played like played in my life makes me emotional every single time because
Hey,
I genuinely don't think I would be in the position that I'm in if it wasn't for her. I probably wouldn't even be alive if it wasn't for her and the role that she played in my life.
no. A little. Do you want a second? Do you
No,
want?
I'm okay.
Are you
I'm gonna
sure?
take it
You
out.
good? You got a second?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Like I said, I don't. Whenever you're ready,
Mhm.
whenever you're like, okay, can we take a second? We
Yeah.
can take a second. But yeah, I definitely, and it's definitely a good thing that you had somebody that you had like a support system, because especially going through that alone can trigger those type of feelings of being like, I'm just gonna quit. I'm just gonna be like this. But like, especially you had somebody, especially as your best friend Ren, who I've met, who is an amazing person. She's literally having somebody like that around you is a great way to keep yourself kind of balanced, because you're not only getting your own thoughts, but you're getting the thoughts of another person
Mhm.
that's just hearing what you're telling them, what's going on, and they're giving you their input and their
Mhm.
advice, and
And hers was always like
the perfect one.
was always like it was always my first mind. She was always that version of me that like I just wanted to freaking be,
Hmm.
but for whatever reason, I just wasn't willing to do that because he was just so unpredictable. Like I never knew what like okay, what if he did just get up and leave?
Right.
Like what I'm here by myself.
Right. And it was like kind of like you've already made that sacrifice. So it's like you're making that sacrifice, and there's something in the back of your head is like, dang, this is all for
It's all
nothing.
for
And
nothing. Yeah.
like the like being scared to leave a toxic situation because you're like, how can I recover from this? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So yeah, that is very fair to come in mind once you actually are in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say in terms of patterns, or
Mm, none of you got any patterns?
um I feel like I feel like the only patterns, like as far as terms of negative patterns,
Mhm.
I think my negative pattern is not being used to actually like getting unconditional love.
Mhm.
I think it's just like being able to like wake up and just like knowing, or like whenever I like come home and like you're excited to see me, it's just like I'm not used to that from a significant other. So it's like whenever you do that, I'm like taken away, but I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like it's like awesome. Like I came home and like you're actually,
Just waiting for you at the door.
and you waiting for me at the door, and I'm just like that's unconditional love that I'm not used to.
Yeah.
And so that's something I still like work on to this day. I still am working on dealing with that, and it's just I'm trying to think of another one. I mean, I'm never gonna say I'm not never gonna be an overthinker, but it's just
Mhm.
I know how to make my overthinking like stop at a certain point.
Yeah.
And so
I'm still working on it too.
when it comes to just overthinking, I'm just always thinking it's not necessarily always like the negatives, but it's also positives, because I just have so much that that goes through my mind of being like, okay, I want to do this for her. I want to do this for her. Or oh my God, what if this happens? Or what if this happens? How do I navigate? And especially that was very early on when we were like first starting to talk,
Mhm.
and I was trying to be like, okay, like should I ask her? Because like you were just not giving me like I want to be your girlfriend signs at
What do
all.
you
You were just
mean?
like you friend zoned me.
I
You
did,
was just like
but
but as a guy, we have to be like,
what you want me to do?
not be if we like y'all, we like we literally met on Tinder, so it was like,
Oh my god.
come on now, we found love in literally a helpless place, and like once you did that, I was just like, okay, dang, I'm gonna just have to
Turn your Riz on, boy.
turn my Riz on. It's crazy. I ain't got no Riz, bro. I don't even know how. But like that's another thing that I overthought about. I was just like, so like is she playing with me, or is she like, being so serious? And I'm just like, I have to hear it. So that's why like when we transitioned from texting to calling, I was
Mhm.
able to actually hear your voice, and I
Sincere.
and look here. Look here.
That was sincere.
I was just it was just and it was also because we had just met,
That
so
is fair.
it was understandable. And I was just like if I ask her to be my girlfriend, what I have to like play two scenarios in my head of being like either, or actually three. I can get a yes, a no, or a not yet. And like a no is like always the worst case scenario. 'Cause like the worst you can always say is no.
Mhm.
But like the not yet is like, okay, I that's the option C that I have to like look through 20 different lenses
Mm.
to try to get through. But like gladly you said
Mm.
yes. But it was just like my overthinking can get to a point where I'm just like overthinking too much and it's detrimental to not only me
Mm.
but to the relationship, and I think I'm still like working on that. But in terms of positive patterns, more like patterns that I've learned is just not, it's just take everything like one step, for adding pun intended, one take at a time. And so it's a little chuckle. It's a
Yeah.
little chuckle. It's like taking it like one step, one day at a time and not like rushing in, because it's just like and I think it was easier for me because it was just like we weren't this we didn't meet in like a college setting.
Mhm.
So like in college setting you basically have like a limited time with this person unless you're actually, you're going to marry or going to move or actually move with this person. But it's
Mhm.
like for us, we were already we were in like adult
You're
teenhood,
right.
and so it was just like we were able to actually like take things slow, not have to be super fast paced. And I learned a lot from my past relationships of how to actually do that and do it really healthy. And like that's why it's like to say that we're all like literally almost a half year in is
Mhm.
crazy, because I'm just like, dang, am I taking it too slow? But but it's like, but I always loved how our pace was whenever it came to our relationship, because it
Mhm.
was just like we didn't just jump into it. We like felt each other out. We had our first like date, and it was crazy because it almost didn't become a date. It was just gonna
Right. It was
be
almost just like our first like
it was just
meetup.
our first meetup, and it just became a date because like literally like 2 nights before
Mhm.
you was like, I forgot what
We were
you was like.
talking about going swimming, and I was just like, I don't think I want to go swimming on a first
And
date.
I was just like, "Oh, is this a
Mm.
first date?" I was like, "Huh?" And like literally the inside of me was like, those little like memes of like all the audience just going crazy. Like that was
Uh-uh.
just like all the cells, all the neurons in my body just going, "Yeah." But yeah, I would say in terms of a positive, I was able to like bring that pattern and actually like low key it's still trial and error, but
Mhm.
it's just like a being patient and being and taking things like one pace at a time. And like I said, it's really came to fruition because we like when you're in a relationship anyways, you're still going to be learning about somebody. You're
Right.
never going to have somebody totally figured out, even like if you've been with a person like for a decade, for instance.
No.
So it's just like it's just more of not having that expectation to being like, I gotta know you in and out
Mm-mm.
before we even do stuff. Cause it's just like as I be around you day by day, night by night, it's like you're literally the same person every day, and anything that you tell me, it just amplifies it and to a whole nother level. And it's also your emotional intelligence and your demeanor in general whenever we talk about stuff. Like even if we have like a little disagreement, you're like, okay, let's actually talk about it instead of screaming at each other. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? But yeah, I definitely say that's a pattern that I'm trying to bring in. So yeah. Um, so especially when it comes to especially to like a very traumatic relationship that you've had, it comes with a lot of triggers, and you kind of talk about them a little earlier, but I don't know if you want to go a little bit more in depth with them. What do you think is one trigger that you've had that you had to that really makes you understand yourself more?
I would say, being dismissed emotionally. In my past relationship, every time I tried to express my feelings, I was told I was being dramatic or overreacting. So I learned to just stay quiet, um, in the relationship. So, in this relationship, I had to actually relearn how to trust that my emotions are like allowed to be heard. The way it actually gives you a chance to understand like my perspective, where I'm coming from. And if it's something like I don't need you to do again, obviously it gives you a chance to actually make that change.
All right.
Because you can't fix something that you don't know and that is broken. And I shouldn't try to avoid having said conversation. Um,
Gotta look at the man in the mirror.
yeah. Um, the next one, this one's gonna get a little dark for some people. I do want to say trigger warning for women. I did have a miscarriage. At the time, me and him agreed that we wanted to wait till we were older, more stable, more ready, especially because he was still growing in his career. I was still in school, like to get my master's. So at the time, pregnancy wasn't something that we were planning for, nor were we prepared for. Um, but still, losing the pregnancy itself did break me in a way that I wasn't necessarily prepared for. Um, Simply because the choice was taken away from me. Um, the pain, both emotional and physical, was something that I've never experienced before. And instead of comforting me in that moment, he encouraged me to use it as motivation to get my body back
Wow. Yeah.
um, in shape. And it turned into one of the most heated arguments that me and him actually had. And I was telling him, in this moment right now, I'm not needing you to show up for me and to support me and getting my body back together, because at that point this is where he had came back and I had lost over 70 pounds.
Right.
And then I found out I had the miscarriage and I started, obviously I'm pregnant, so
And now you're gonna.
I'm like I'm gaining weight, my hormones are everywhere, I'm like bloated and inflamed. So in that moment, that's not what I need. That's not how I needed him to show up for me.
All right.
And me saying that to him is just like, well, I'm just not gonna say anything at all. Every time I say something to you, you turn it into an argument. And it's just like, I'm not saying what you are saying is entirely wrong, because if I'm on this weight loss journey, you are there to hold me accountable.
Mm-hmm.
But in this moment where I just lost our child, whether we wanted it right now or not,
Right.
that's not where I need you to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that in itself was, I learned I learned how to really, I learned what emotional abandonment was for. And I feel like a lot of women experience that. They don't really know how to define it, but just feeling like you are like alone, like nobody, you don't have anybody there to like understand. You don't have nobody there who will accept kind of like what you're going through. Cause again, we were still, we kind of made up our minds about what we wanted to do. And that in itself is a lot. And a lot of people will have their own opinions and stuff about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was just like, okay, who can I talk to about me not really wanting it, or the fact that I actually did lose it? Like it was just a lot. Um, and just feeling like the one person that I'm actually going through this with and making these decisions with not being there, like to support me, literally in the opposite room, literally like asleep on choosing to first start off on the couch playing his video game, but then choosing to fall asleep on the couch and leaving me in like a bedroom alone,
Mm-hmm.
like actively miscarrying. Um, so that was very, very traumatic. In addition to him kind of weaponizing my parents' divorce against me, there are a lot of similarities as to why my parents got divorced. Um, to why ultimately my relationship didn't work out. And he would say things like, yeah, we're just like your parents. You wonder why they sleep in separate rooms. Why they just like, if we were married, I would have divorced you already. You're just like her, like using their relationship and using my mom and weaponizing her. That literally like ate me alive. Um, Sorry.
You're good.
Um, but those two things in addition to being just blatantly being told that he's comparing me to other women. There was an instance where he even compared me to my sisters. He called me the fat sibling, like I got all the fat genes, like just stuff like that sticks with me like to this day. Like how
Mhm.
I look at myself like in the mirror, like my confidence level, um, the way that for a while, even the way that I looked at them, and it's not their fault. It's
Right.
just like, but then I'm looking at myself like, okay, why did I get
Right.
all the fat genes, or like
It
what's
makes you
wrong with me?
right.
Um,
It makes you kind of feel like you're the actual problem, but it's not like you. You have something that's biologically, imbalanced inside of you, and that's something that you can. There's nothing, and like you said, there's nothing that you can really do about it. All you can do is more nurture and environmental stuff that you can
mhm.
basically do. You can't really do. You can't just go inside your body and be like, okay, let me change
Like,
this. This
let me take
right.
this protein
Let me
out.
take this
Let me
protein
take
out.
this Amazon out. Like
Right.
it doesn't work that way.
So, and it's the fact that you were being compared so many different ways, not only just the people that you didn't know, but the people that you knew as well, that can be already triggering enough that that can actually like expand towards how you view your own, your own family
Mhm.
in that type of instance. Um, especially one question, since you mentioned the miscarriage, um, not a lot of people understand that, like, how easily you can miscarriage,
Yeah.
and especially as a woman of color.
Mhm.
What is something that what is something that you wish somebody would have like told you or helped get you, like, what helped you get through that emotionally? Because especially like not a lot of people, plan to have kids,
Mhm.
and but the people that do and they end up like actually having it and having that happen to them, that takes even more toll
Mhm.
than people who didn't plan, but is almost equal because like you said, you weren't planning on it, but it still took a massive toll out of you, just the fact of you had a child forming, but in a miscarriage.
Mhm.
So what is something that you would tell somebody who's had that type of experience their own selves, and what is something you would tell somebody first? What would you tell somebody that has had this experience, and what would you tell somebody who may be at risk of that, to help them
Mhm.
kind of um not, I wouldn't say prepare for it, but like, you know what I'm saying? It's like more
Mhm.
of kind of help them, because you can never really prepare somebody for that type of
Right.
emotional. But as somebody that's went through it, what would you kind of say to like help them kind of realize it?
First and foremost, know that it's not your fault, especially if it's unplanned. You're not going to be living this lifestyle that is creating this environment for a child to thrive in. Like I was partying like a college kid, like for weeks. So the fact that I even did, I was like, "What?" And like, it's gonna come out alcohol poisoning.
All right.
Like, I just, I want. I'm trying to think of the find like the actual word.
Hmm. Take your time.
Just know that it is really no genuine way to prepare for it. There's not a way that you can prevent it. Um, you just have to know that at the end of the day, like if it's meant to be, it will be. Um, and I don't know, it's a tough question because it's really no way to like prepare yourself for it.
Hmm.
Because like you're carrying a life
Right.
essentially, and then once you have that moment of like realization, like your whole view on the world itself changes. um you start thinking about things that you have been doing, like, oh my god, I've been doing X, Y, and Z. What if it makes it, or it's like, okay, I need to change, I need to do more, I need to start doing X, Y, and Z. um
It's like a switch basically
it's like
goes off.
it's literally like it's weird, it's a really weird mind space to like be in. Um, and for me, it was harder for me to kind of gauge what exactly I wanted to do because I knew my relationship was such in a horrible place. Like it's not a place that I would want to bring a child into the world.
Mm-hmm.
So again, and my mind at that time, it was just like, okay, again, what can I do to create that said space?
Right.
Um, but I actually went to, um, it was a clinic there, where they kind of like talked with me and like helped me through a lot of things. And they just said that it's really not at this point when once you find out and the baby is growing, it's growing rapidly. So it's not really anything you can do, especially at early stages, that can either like prolong it for it to actually be a successful pregnancy or for you to lose it. Like those first couple of weeks, like it's iffy anyway.
Right.
Um, the only way that I would say, like, once you actually know is to prepare for it would be to go and see a doctor. Um, just so that you can get a better understanding, okay, like, of where you're at and, like, what they medically feel like can be done to help you, like, prolong it.
Hmm.
And or if you're wanting to go the other route, what steps that you need to take and when what time span that those steps need to actually be
Right.
taken to for it to be done the right way and for you to still, to be healthy after.
Right.
Um, so yeah, so I would say the one and only way for me would be to seek medical attention.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I
Okay.
rambled, but
No, it's all good because because like you said, there's no exact way to really prepare for that, especially not only just physically but emotionally at the same time.
Mhm.
So it's like no set blueprint.
Yeah.
And you know what you had to go through. You had luckily you had a support system who was
Mhm.
around to like kind of be there to help you. But at the end of the day, it's you're going to be trapped with your own thoughts of just
Mhm.
and like you said, being in that weird mindset can really throw you off because you're thinking of multiple possibilities of
Mhm.
like not only just for your life going forward but for that kid's life, and
Mhm.
then once you like you get yourself riled up for that, you're just like dang, it's like a devastating blow,
Mhm.
especially for a mother because like
Yeah.
y'all have to be the ones, y'all are doing the heavy lifting.
Mhm.
Y'all are doing all the heavy lifting, so I would definitely I as a man, I'm not gonna be able to understand that,
Mhm.
but unless I have like from a father standpoint, because like from me standpoint, me personally, if I knew that a child was on the way, I'd be, in that parental like
Mhm.
mindset of being like, I can't wait till I show them this, I do this and I do that. And then once I was actually ripped away from you, that's a emotion that you can't describe because you just go through it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And for you, especially from a mother standpoint, you went through it. You went through like the horrible part of it, and especially of you this not being a planned one, and it was just like you almost got used to that reality that that might be something you might have to go down.
Mhm.
So, especially for it to be ripped away from you, it's just like, yeah, it wasn't planned, but it was like I was about to start planning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's definitely a trigger. And like I always say, I always commend you for being strong through that because a lot of people that is a hard number one, that's a hard topic to go through, but that's an even harder topic to actually talk about.
Yeah.
So I really commend you on you sharing that with us, and I really thank you for um I probably say is there any way how your best friend, how like Ren was really helpful in terms of communicating when you
Oh,
felt
she was
like
there
very
for
overwhelmed?
everything. Like she knew before he knew. So so she was like, what you gonna do?" And I was just like, I'm still trying to figure it out. Like if my relationship wasn't as bad as it generally was, then I feel like I would have been able to prepare more, not for losing it, but prepare more for actually like having it. And it's sad to say because of how toxic my actual relationship was, I was willing to actually like get rid of it. Cause like again, not it, but I was willing to go the opposite route because I didn't want to bring my child into something like that. Because if he treats me this
How
way,
do you think he's gonna
how
treat
he's
your
going to
child?
treat his child?
Exactly.
Like he can't show the woman that's bringing said child into this world the way that she deserves to be treated. So how can I expect for him to be nurturing, loving, and show unconditional love to something that he didn't even want.
Right.
So I was definitely leading more towards that route, and that's just me being transparent
Right.
and
No, that's that that
honest.
that's
But it was because of the actual relationship and the environment that was created.
right. And and nobody wants to bring a child, especially like a newborn, into this type of environment
Mhm,
because once you bring them, it's like they're here. And so it's
mhm.
like it's not like you can, you
And I
know,
feel like a lot of people are in or have experienced, or they might actively be in this phase, or they've been through this phase, and nobody really talks about it. Because, like I said, I was leaning more towards like the opposite route, but at the same time, I'm saying, "Oh, it hurt me." So
right,
it sounds a little bit contradicting,
right,
but to lay it like out in black and white, it hurt me because the actual choice itself was taken away from me. I had every opportunity to be like,
you can keep
I
it.
can keep it.
Right,
I had every opportunity to be like, okay, I can figure out how to be a single mom. Like I can still do everything, but the fact that it was taken away from me is what hit more. Um, so I do want to make that clear. Like it's okay to be on the fence about what you want to do and still feel feel certain way when the actual choice itself is taken away from you.
right, because you weren't able to do it on your own terms.
Right.
So yeah, that is real. It's real. Is there any other triggers or tough moments that you had to go through that made you stronger that you can think of or that you want to share?
I'm trying to think. I think those are like the most, I would say, at least impactful. Um, other than I know we talked a little bit earlier about the like communication style and
Right.
stuff like that. A lot of our arguments didn't even take place with him being sober. Being in the military and being in the Marines, particularly, a lot of alcohol consumption was it was just like a part of them. Like the branch was created in a bar. Like I get it.
Hmm.
Um, so I do understand that's a part of the lifestyle, but the way that he weaponized, he's told me that he just feels like he's able to be more open and honest whenever he's drunk. But the way that he does his open and honesty is done like how a drill sergeant would be talking to a boot. And
Right.
for those who don't know, a boot is somebody that's like in boot camp. Like they don't have an actual rank or anything like that. And it was the majority of the time we were in public. Like I very vividly remember being like on Bourbon Street during a Mardi Gras parade, getting yelled at and like talked down to and belittled in front of everybody. And his friends that we came with are like trying to leave and they're just sitting there like looking like, okay, bro, like you're not doing this right now. Um, and that instance, actual scenario has happened more times than I would like to count. Um, Not necessarily like on bourbon every single time, but like we could be at
But
somebody's
just
house, like
general.
a
Yeah.
house party,
Right.
um, or just, and then even like at home when we were be at home and arguing, I'm getting that same talking down to in lecture, like like I'm beneath him. Um, And I didn't really make that realization until after me and him had broke up and I was getting ready to like leave and I was talking to a couple of medical assistants at work and she's like, I think one of them was doing like training. She was getting her certification. So she was like shadowing me around and she was talking about how, cause she worked at the cafeteria on base. So she was talking about how one of the, I don't want to say the wrong rank, but somebody of a higher rank came into the cafeteria and was like yelling at those who were lance corporals, like just yelling at, like going at them. She's like, I don't know how they do that. I don't know how they just yell at somebody and belittle them and degrade them in front of
Everybody.
everybody for everybody to see. And it just clicked. I was just like, that's literally like
what
what he does to
what
me,
he does
like
to
what
you.
he was doing to me.
Right,
And it took literally years. Like at that point, we had been together for like 9 plus years. And it took until her saying that for me to actually realize, okay, that's what he's been doing to me. So I feel like maybe he just doesn't know another way to express himself or how to communicate his like angers or his concerns. That's
hmm
how it was always portrayed to him.
right,
So that's his way of doing it. But I would tell him like, you need to, if we're gonna argue, if we're gonna have a conversation, you should argue and have a conversation with me like a civilian.
right,
You are a civilian first.
right.
Um, but
And again, and again he has, but that also like goes into that he also had, he knew what's right from wrong,
yeah.
and especially like understandable of living that military lifestyle where everything is always like on edge and on pins and
Hmm.
needles, but it's also like you got to know when to kind of keep that there and when to keep it like and when to change when it comes to being
Hmm.
at home, because when you're talking to somebody, especially a spouse, girlfriend, or whatever, or even just another human in general that's a
Hmm.
civilian, you don't talk to somebody like that. I'm not going to just sit here and belittle you as a normal person, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because that right there, you don't know what type of reaction you can get out of that.
Hmm.
When it comes to that type of lifestyle, they are trained and disciplined to not say anything. So if he goes through that type of thing, he's expecting you to not say anything, just
And I
like how
always said
he
something.
did. And that's why that would make you guys clash, because
Hmm.
he was expecting one behavior, but he got another because he didn't understand the dynamics and the environment that he had created.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's something that type of stuff is bound to happen. You are bound to clash because of that. You're bound to clash. Um, I don't know if my triggers are even.
Your triggers are valid, sir.
It's not funny, but it's just like hearing that it makes see that's like the little version of me that I'm still trying to work on, is to be like my feelings are also valid too, 'cause
Hmm.
especially guys aren't taught to you know validate what they go through.
Hmm.
And like me, I've always been taught, especially by my mom and dad, they've always taught me, be like, if you're going through something, know that you're going through something. It's not, don't feel like because you're a man, you're supposed to be invincible. You're supposed to be Superman. You're supposed to be, the person that doesn't, you're supposed to be like a strong iron that just keeps getting sharpened
Right.
and doesn't get dull. Um, and like especially it really clicked um more in my past relationship, because like you said, using moments that you felt was very not just confidential, but you felt very openness and very very vulnerable in telling him, and him using that
Yeah.
against you,
Weaponizing.
weaponizing vulnerability and
Hmm.
weaponizing past life experiences that are supposed to be like, hey, if you see me like this way, this is why, or
Right.
because this is how I think, because this is how I lived, or something like that. And I dealt with a lot of that. In my sense, in my past relationship, where especially like I said, when we would be outside, or we would be like having like friends over as like a little party or
Hmm.
a little stuff like that, it would be fun and like little snippets here and there what happened. Like if we're playing a game, it's like you're using stuff against me in front of people, and then it would
Yeah.
get to that point where she would be completely out and she would just go off, and everybody's just kind of
Sitting there
like
like looking.
okay, like, and then like you guys, like, especially when you're in that hot seat, you're like, I don't want to be that couple that's
Mm.
like that's always the
You're trying to
arguing
like
couple.
de-escalate
You're
it,
trying
and
to
they're like
de-escalate
egging it
it,
on.
and then they just keep going it, and then you're just like, okay. And a lot of times I had to learn how to like just leave the situation, because, and especially what can keep you in there is pride. That can really
Hmm.
keep you in being like, well, no, because all my guys are here, so I don't want him. But I was like, it got to a point where I was like, I don't even care, because it was
Right.
just like, I know what I do and I know what I've been through. And it's crazy that you've used this to like weaponize against me
Hmm.
with like in front of everybody. And it would just always be whenever we had alcohol in play that that would get to that
Mhm.
point. And like most of our um fights and arguments or whatnot came from alcohol use and more of her excessive alcohol use on it. And especially we I also did have a Bourbon Street, or not a Bourbon Street, more like a Canal Street like incident when it was at Mardi Gras when she actually like physically put her hands on me in front of everybody. Now as a guy, I can't
Right.
do anything because if I like do anything, or if I would have been like, you need to calm down, or if I would have grabbed her, there are police constantly everywhere.
Mhm.
And if I would have done something, her friends are there. And luckily, like, granted, I had witnesses there that were like on my side, being like, yeah, she shouldn't have put her hands on you. But I was just like, no, let me leave, because if they see commotion that's going on, they have to be, you know, vigilant, because this was like right after this Mardi Gras was like the Mardi Gras of the Bourbon Street attack
Oh,
that
yeah.
happened. So like police were already, they would
Mhm.
just give them a reason to to act. And I was just
Mhm.
like, let me move and let me remove myself from the situation. And then like again, yes, we did talk about it, but it's like you can forgive, but you cannot, like, you can't forget that type of stuff.
Right.
And it was just like I forgave, but I forgave because I didn't want it to be detrimental on a relationship versus not like forgiving you like for what you did, if
Mhm.
if that really makes
Yeah,
sense.
I agree, because that's how actually how that past relationship ended for me. We were actually out at one of his friends, going away. We were out of town, and we were out. We had just left a country bar at that, and that's where we were like outside getting ready to leave, and he just started picking, like trying to pick a fight. I'm just like, come on, like let's not do this here. Like it's cops everywhere. Like we can do, like let's talk about it later. Like let's go. Let's just continue to, enjoy our night. But he decided to pick an argument and pick a fight in that moment, and then that's where he told me about going through a phase where he was liking women of another race, and I was just like, okay, well, I lost weight. I can't change. Like I can't not be black. Um, so I guess I'll just leave. And he was just like, well, if you leave right now, then we're done. And so I just like
Like,
I
deuces.
just turned around and walked away. So I walked back from, dang, what's this street called in Raleigh? I don't know what it's called, but it's like the Raleigh version of Bourbon Street, because where all the clubs and stuff are.
Hmm.
I just walked from there to where our Airbnb was. And the next morning, like I literally, like I called Ren on my way to there walking. Ren drove 2 hours to come and pick me up, and drove two
That's a
hours
real one.
back home. Yeah.
That's a real one.
And from then on, like after she picked me up there, I was constantly with her. Like I lived with her until I moved back to Texas.
Mm, yeah. And in that moment, you were choosing to like to grow. You were just like, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I need
like
to
I'm
grow,
done. Like
because this is just this number one, you're not even comfortable in that type of environment. You're just like, yeah, I need to grow. Um Switching from that relationship to a little bit of a reflection on our end, when did you know like you were breaking like old like bad cycles whenever we came together?
I would say once we got together and okay, I'm gonna try not to cry. The way that you showed me what I always knew to be true, like love is unconditional. You didn't try to like change me. You didn't try to fix me. You didn't weaponize my feelings. You didn't try to compare me. I don't have to beg for reassurance. Like I don't have to do anything. I literally just exist, and you love me to a magnitude that I have not experienced in my life. Um and it just created a space for me to actually fix myself, like to finally feel safe enough to fix myself, because being able to like talk to you and express kind of like my thought processes, like what I'm feeling, being able to do that freely and openly has allowed me to change and grow more than I was able to do, like being by myself.
Right. And after I ask you, like, are you okay every 5 minutes, and I have to like literally like tickle you so that you
Oh,
can actually end up telling me
because I
what's
don't
wrong with
like
you.
to, if something is wrong with me, I need to actually pinpoint what is
Right.
wrong with me
It's understandable.
because I don't want to focus on what I think is wrong. And
Right.
then what is actually wrong goes unaddressed. So I need to actually process
Hmm.
so that whenever I'm like, okay, this is
Right.
what's wrong is what's actually getting talked
Right.
about and getting fixed.
Versus like the hypothetical, like maybe
Right.
I'm feeling this way, but I don't know.
Right.
Let me just put that in your head, because then that puts into your partner's head of like you're like like sitting there like looking like caveman SpongeBob. You're just just sitting there
Caveman
like just
SpongeBob.
in like what what do I need to do? So yeah, but no, especially with me overthinking. Yes, that's what happened. But no, that is very that is very a valid reason to hold some type of feeling. That's a healthy way of withholding feelings and not just holding it to let it build up and just
No,
being
I'm
like okay,
holding it to
and then
process
right,
so I'm
hold
able
it
to
to process.
communicate that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I definitely would say the same for you. Is like, especially like whenever we like, especially like I said, like coming home, getting unconditional love. It's just like that's something I was never like I was used to something I've always like sought myself to get, and that's something I've
Mhm.
always wanted, but it was just like to see it in action is something totally different. When
Right.
you're like, I do this, on a I would do this for you, even if you came home smelling like you just went through a dang dumpster. It's just like you have that, you give patience, you validate my feelings, you basically, you're not trying to like save me or trying to like change me either. You're just giving me the love, and sometimes that's all a person needs. It's
Right.
just that love and everything. Like you said, you can fix yourself independently versus having to be fixed, with the person. But
Right.
it's like our love is what brings us together, because we're both showcasing that love
Mhm.
that we've always wanted to get. I mean, always wanted to give to somebody, and we get it back without, pulling teeth,
Right.
basically. So, yeah. I definitely I definitely do agree with that. What do you think? Okay, I'm gonna ask you a little question.
Mhm.
How you think I remind you that we're on the same team? Because I always try to be
Mm.
like we're equals, but maybe there might be like a specific way that I may.
You do. Every time you ask me literally anything about, like, what we want to do today, he was just like, "You ready to record? You wanna record today?" I'm just like, "Do you wanna record today?" He was like, "I asked you first." I'm like, "Do you wanna record today? Do you wanna record today?" So just to a certain extent, you put me first. Like, you have your wants and you have your needs, but you always make sure that I'm first in that. So, like, whether you wanted to record today or not, um, or you want to record yesterday, like, the fact that you asked me and then I was able, I'm pretty sure if I would have said no, you would have been like, okay, we'll just do it tomorrow,
Right.
even though you wanted to do it today. So just the fact that you put me first in just about every aspect is something that I'm honestly still like getting used to.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm just like, bro, just make a decision. I will do it.
Especially
Like whatever you want to do, like I'll do it. Like don't ask me.
especially when it's like come to like getting like at
Do not ask me what I want to eat,
want to
bro.
eat.
Not ask me what I don't
It's
care. I
like
don't
to
care.
eat. I'm
I don't
like,
want to choose.
and I'm like, what do you want to eat?
Huh.
Because like it's hard because of me. I can eat chicken
No.
every day, but
Uh,
see, and then you have your own taste buds. So I'm like, I'm working off your taste buds. 'Cause, like whatever you eat, I'm gonna find a way to eat to get whatever I want to eat. Like if you want to eat Mexican food, like I'm not a big Mexican food eater, but I'm like, I'll eat it because it's good. It's still good food. It may not be my first choice or my second choice,
mm,
but it's a choice, and I'm like, it's better than eating nothing.
yeah.
And like I always try to feel like that towards anybody, and because like I just feel like we are a team. So like
Yeah.
whatever we do, not only just like financially, but just like satisfactory wise if of
Mhm.
eating food that or doing something. It's like
Yeah, like
if
with
we're doing
Bruno.
something together, if we're doing something together, I always include you
Yes.
if it affects both of us
Mhm.
because that's just how I was taught. So thanks, Dad. It's just the way how I was taught of to include you because we are both we're equals. We're not there's not one that's above because we both shine in different areas and that's what makes us a team because one can do something that maybe the other one can't
Right.
and we have our strengths that we can both highlight together.
Mhm.
So that's what I always do. I always try to do. But
Now, you turn.
yeah. See, you just took the good one. You just had to take the good one. Um I'd probably say especially what makes us feel like we're a team, especially like you being open to like if me bringing wrestling to you
Mhm.
or me bringing finance of phrase to you, it's just like it showed that you're willing, at least even if you don't like it or if you're like, okay, no, this ain't for me,
Mhm.
like you at least try to understand it the way how I enjoy it. So it's
Right.
just like I brought something new to you. Like, y'all, I got her hooked
Uh-huh.
on Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, we're going to go see the
Look,
second one. And it's just like whenever I bring something to you and vice versa, whenever you bring something to me, like y'all, I'm not a musical person but she made me watch Hamilton, and I'm quoting.
yep,
I'm like, I've only watched it maybe like twice, and I'm already quoting.
as you should.
I'm quoting stuff from the musical, and like
You know,
that's
worlds collided.
and our worlds literally collided.
Lin-Manuel Miranda was at Raw.
Was at Raw, and like when we literally watched it, I was like, "Oh my god!" And like I just heard her pop. She just went. It was the craziest pop I've ever heard in my life, and she was just like, and I was just like, that's crazy how our worlds just collide. I was like, that right there, like little signs like that
Mhm.
from God just be like, oh my, like that just showed like, yeah,
We
we're
we where we supposed to be.
exactly. That's where we're supposed to be. But yeah, I definitely say the way how you remind me is just like we're always constantly like it's almost like a chase to learn what does the
It's
other
like, what
person
more
like.
do we have in common?
Right, like what more do we have in common, and what can we make to be in common?
Right.
Because like musicals, you know how much money you would have had to pay me to listen to a musical, but I'm glad that we're able to like do that for each other. Now, granted, I'm a wrestling fanatic, so it's hard to not be around wrestling when you're around me. But it's like you actually put up with my craziness whenever it comes to wrestling. So yeah, that's something that you make me feel like I'm on the team. All right. Well, this is low key stretched too much over an hour.
We got a long
A long
episode.
episode is a long episode, but
You have any closing thoughts, messages?
um we gotta do like a nice little
Yeah, that's
we
true.
gotta do some takeaways. Gotta do
Mhm.
like a three like a we should do at least like three,
Okay.
like at least a three good takeaways. Um I'll probably start off,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to guys. I wouldn't say healing um is like very it's not linear. Healing is not there's no specific way of how to heal. It's a journey. And the one things that guys that I know forget to is to give themselves grace because it's always it needs to be fast paced or especially just people in general. People may think like, oh, it needs to happen like in 2 months. I need to be over this person in 2 months or one like that. Lean like you're never especially like for you to have gone through what you've gone through for that longevity, most people would probably be like, I still love him because like that was your mentality while you were with that person. Cause
Mhm.
that's why it didn't end, sooner. Cause it was just, like you said, making up excuses for him and trying to see his point of view, but that also blocks yours. So
Mhm.
your healing process is to actually see your own point of view and keep your own point of view. But that's a healing journey that you're going to still be on with me or, you know, going forward, period. And it's the fact that you give yourself grace to be like, I'm still working on it and never being like, I got
Mhm.
it fully figured out shows a lot of emotional and, the psychological growth for
Mhm.
you. So I would always say, give yourself grace while healing because it's not a linear path. It's not a set path,
Yeah.
but it's a path that everybody can have. What you got? One. What you got?
I would say communicate honestly. Um, Nobody is a mind reader, and you can't. I say this like I feel like a broken record, but you can't fix what you don't know is broken, and resentment is a powerful, powerful thing. If you not saying anything, um, especially something that can be fixed or at least can be talked about, and you guys can come to some kind of like compromise or like agreement or create a plan, like something. You not saying anything doesn't allow for any answers to be created. Um, so I would say just be completely open and honest. Don't really set any expectations because expectations are made to be broken. Just be vulnerable. Um, be flexible. Be teachable. Be compassionate. Um, because communication itself is it's not easy, especially like when you're trying to be honest and you're talking about your feelings and you being worried about how somebody is going to receive that doesn't allow you to actually be able to honestly I would say even receive it and process it yourself because you're not even worried about why you feel the way you do. You're worried about how that other person is going to feel based off of what you said. Know that your feelings are valid. It's the way that you react to those feelings and is what matters. So I would just say definitely be honest when you communicate, open and
That's
honest.
a really good one. That's a really good one. So I'm left. So now I'm
Yeah,
left the
you got
third
the
one.
last one.
Okay. I'd probably say, um, going to what we talked about earlier in the episode, I would just say, you can still like heal while still being worthy of healthy love. Like
Hmm.
basically that's kind of what we're going through. Like
Yeah.
we are still healing as individuals, but we recognize that that we can get to that unconditional love level, and healthy love is out there, you
Right.
know. And like I said, a lot of people would say, oh, you're jumping a little too fast or you're going a
Hmm.
little too fast. But it's just like, if I'm the type of person where I'll be like, I wouldn't be jumping
If I didn't know it was a safe landing.
right, right. If I didn't know that there was something at the bottom, it may
Uh-huh.
not be a cushion, it might be water, but at least I know there's something down there where I can actually process and be like, yeah, let me do it. That's why I'm always like, I always tell people, be like, I don't do something and not have,
Hmm.
an intention, or I've already thought out 20 different outcomes to this one little scenario. Because like I said, I'm an overthinker, so I'm gonna think every single possible outcome. But I would definitely say, you are still worthy of healthy love even after immediately after a relationship. I mean, like, that it happens where some cases somebody leaves a relationship that's very toxic and goes like right into one. And I think there should never be a timetable on your the way how you process and the way how you love somebody, because if you love somebody, you're going to feel that love.
Hmm.
But at least you'll know where you're at is not where you want to be.
Right.
And so once you actually see that healthy love and that healthy love is coming to you, then you'll know, like, yeah, this is something that's meant for me. And like you said, whenever you see your signs or I see my signs, it's like it just further
You're
cements
right.
that we chose the right decision of
Hmm.
actually coming together the way how we did. And now look at us literally on a podcast together.
Hmm.
Crazy work. But yeah, that's all I basically got. Is there any leaving lasting remarks you want to say? Maybe somebody who's listening to
Hmm.
this.
Okay. To anyone listening, who stayed too long, who's lived in silence, felt body shamed, compared, judged, or dismissed, I do want you to know that you are not too much. You are not broken. You deserve love that feels safe, steady, and secure, and you deserve peace. So,
I could not say anything better than that. So that's going to be a cut, or that's going to be a wrap.
That's
of the
right.
episode. I will see you guys. Well, we will see you guys maybe next episode. Who knows? Maybe I might do a solo. Maybe she might do a solo. Who
Oh
knows?
God.
But we will definitely catch y'all later. I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Real love isn't about perfection. It's about growth. So remember that perfection is always going to lead to expectations, and expectations, like she said, are meant to be broken. Uh, that this has been the third take. Until next time, please take care of yourself and each other. Peace.